Welcome everyone to another CoH2 replay cast. This time we're going to be having a 2v2 on Moscow Outskirts, as you can see, sent in by Last Smile playing as the OKW. Thank you for sending in the replay. And the ally is going to be IceCult24 playing also as the OKW on the northern side of Moscow Outskirts. And on the enemy team we're going to have two Soviet players, Torko and Peacemaker. Peacemaker's still a little bit AFK, but he's back and he's going to be back for revenge for another interesting game. Now, let me check my audio. In the meantime, it doesn't look like anything is happening too important. I'm going to be having... Okay, works. So, Moscow Outskirts. What about the map? Now, it is a very interesting 2v2 map, and it is one that I don't necessarily enjoy playing all too much because of it being a very open map, and I'm not the biggest fan of big-ass 2v2 open maps, but it's better than most 2v2 open maps in that at least there's a little bit of terrain on the left side with this house and these fences that people fight over, and on the right side with this house and these areas around the church that people fight over. Then there's two very open field points on either side, the left one being particularly weird because of this house that's got a line of sight blocked by that sort of fence down in the south side. And on the right side, it's pretty much just an open field with a hay bale. Now, looks like IceCult went for two Kuba wagons, which on this map is a fairly popular build, I would think, because of the fact that it being so open and it being so just prone to harassment maneuvers and that the like, just helps having a Kuba wagon that can make a big impact. Now, interestingly enough, IceCult is actually wiring up this approach to his cutoff point, which is an interesting decision because they can just move around over here, but it's definitely going to just slow down whatever harassment comes down towards the OKW cutoff. And it's interesting because I don't really see that many players do this anymore, but it's kind of a decent idea to actually do this because it's going to force a little bit of extra micro from either player to just harass him. Now, we do have a maximum start from Peacemaker. Look like Tier 2 was built very, very far away towards the actual map, but that is because of the new spawning mechanics that make infantry spawn directly from the building and not from the exits of the map. Now, the two Kuba wagons are attempting to attack in the center, but they're going to be hit by the Maxim fairly soon. It's going to reposition into a better firing arc over here, and so the Kuba wagons will actually have to pretty much reposition. These conscripts are taking a lot of damage. They could probably retreat a little bit soon, but the Kuba wagons decide to actually just retreat out of the way. So we do have the two Kuba wagon and two Sturmpio build, which is going to get countered by Turkol on the right side with the Scout Car. Now, the Scout Car and the Penals from Tier 1 are definitely very powerful units right now for the Soviets. Whoa, he lost his conscripts. Damn. Yeah, he had the conscript slot and he just lost it. That's pretty bad for Turkol. Now, on the right side, the Kuba wagon is going to be destroyed by the Scout Car, but on the left side, wait, no, it was a combat engineer. Okay, so the combat engineers were wiped by the Volksgrenadiers, so that is a pretty even trade between the Kuba wagon and the combat engineers. A little bit in favor of the Soviets, though, especially because now they still have that Scout Car, so they have a little bit of a mobility advantage on the right side of the map compared to the OKW. Now, on the left side, Peacemaker has managed to push up a little bit thanks to his Maxim position in his house. It's definitely going to allow him to... Whoa, he destroyed both of the Kuba wagons. Oh no, okay, no. I'm sorry. It's a little bit earlier. Yeah, okay, I was looking at Last Mile and I'm like, he destroyed both of the Kuba wagons. Nah, of course he didn't. So the two Kuba wagons have been repaired by IceCult Storm Pioneers. We do have double doctrine selection from the OKW players. We have Fortifications Doctrine being selected by IceCult and Special Ops being selected by Last Mile. Now, Special Ops is, of course, very, very powerful because of the Command Panther and the infiltration tactics, which are going to allow him to clear out buildings fairly easily, and then with the Command Panther have a lot of bonuses for his army in general. Whereas Fortifications is, of course, very good for the artillery piece and sometimes the Pak 43. artillery piece obviously being the new feature of the doctrine that was added since the MG34 was positioned in HQ for the OKW. Now, on the right side of the map, Ice Cult is trying to help out last mile, which is good because of the generic need for teamwork. And they're actually going to, the Cubo Runners are actually going to deal a lot of damage and destroy the scout car. I was not expecting that. I was expecting the scout car to be able to easily, along with the support of the penals in the house, they were going to be easily able to repulse the Cubo wagons, but it doesn't look like the scout car was actually microed fairly effectively. Now, on the left side, Last Mile almost losing a full Pioneer squad to this Flamethrower engineer that was trying to defeat it, but we do have 2 Stern Pioneers, one of which upgraded with a Panzer Shrek, interestingly enough. Going to be able to repel this combat engineer. Now, one problem that the German players are facing right now is the fact that they lack fuel. They don't have any fuel points on the map right now, and that is very bad for them. As you can see, the income is about 40% of that of the Allies, which is of course not going to be good, especially against Soviets that have the ability to purchase T-70s, very powerful early game vehicle. It's going to be a little bit offset by the fact that the Germans have 2 munitions points, and that has allowed Ice Cult to get 2 Storm Pioneers with Panzer Shreks out in the field. But I would definitely recommend both Last Mile and Ice Cult to go for some Raketenwerfers right now. Now, good purchase by Last Mile is going to be the Flak Half-Track, especially because of the fact that Turkle is insisting on getting a lot of free half-tracks out of the field. I mean, M3 Scout Car, yes, it's good, but a little bit over-investing into it, it's not the best thing ever. Now, on the left side of the map, one problem for Ice Cult is the fact that he has sent pretty much most of his mobile forces to the right to assist Last Mile. So on the left side, he has been pretty much left just with defenses, and he's been completely outflanked by Peacemaker. Now, Peacemaker with 3 conscripts and an MG has a little bit more of a balanced build than his ally. His ally going for a lot of tier 1 units, and actually going for defensive tactics, which is interesting. Now, on the left side, these 2 conscript squads with the heavy cover will be able to inflict a lot of damage onto these Volksgrenadiers and onto these Storm Pioneers, but the Storm Pioneers will be able to probably just assault the positions and force away the conscripts. One squad already going pretty much back to base, and the other squad going to be forced to retreat fairly soon, unless it wants to die, which, well, it's not a good thing. Now, they have managed to inflict a lot of casualties on the OKW units, and Ice Cult isn't exactly very rich in manpower, because right now, as you can see, he's building a 3rd Volksgrenadier, and he's got battle group headquarters, and pretty much has got a lot of fuel saved up. So we'll see if he decides to go for a Schwer Panzer headquarters anytime soon. I would definitely agree with that, and I would just tell Last Mile to go for a mechanized regiment. And then with the mechanized regiment going for a Stuka perhaps would be a better decision, because right now the Soviet players do have this workings of a support weapon sort of force coming up with the AT gun, the sort of light AT gun from the defensive tactics, and the machine gun. So later on they will definitely need the Stuka to break any kind of Soviet camping spot. Now, nice usage of the anti-tank grenades to just delay the flak half-tracks usage. Now the 45mm AT gun is attempting to attack the flak half-track, but it's not going to do too much. This AT gun, it's fairly good for its rate of fire, and it's fairly cheap cost. It's only 200 manpower, but it's not a good unit in general. It's a little bit too bad to face any kind of medium armor. Even light armor sometimes is a little bit too much for it to face. Now, nice usage of the incendiary grenades from Last Mile. Gonna be able to easily wipe out the AT gun, and probably gonna be able to actually steal it, considering there's only one penal battalion attempting to just force away this huge blob of OKW infantry, and pretty much Ice Cold, supported by the flat half-track, are not going to be able to easily... wow, that was an awesome satchel charge. Completely wiping out an entire Volksgrenadier squad. That was a really bad mistake by Ice Cold, not really paying attention to his units when there is a penal nearby. Again, penal squads are very, very dangerous to infantry, not just because of their buffed anti-infantry capabilities from rifles, but also because of the fact that if you aren't paying attention, you might just get your ass satchel charged, and you don't want that to happen. Now, yeah, whoa, they changed the model. This model used to be a Panzer IV, and now it's a Jagdpanzer. What? Why would they do that? It's very weird. Now, interestingly enough, the Soviet player Peacemaker, with his free conscript squads, is able to just get a little bit of resistance down on the Germans, but unlike his own ally, yes, he's kind of resisting it, but he's still kind of taking a lot of casualties doing so. I mean, if I was him, I would be retreating as quickly as possible from these engagements. It's kind of worthless to pick fights that you cannot win, and this is not a fight that you can win with free conscript squads. Now, Ice Cold, as I said, going for the Destroyer Panzer headquarters, that was pretty much a no-brainer, and it's a pretty decent placement. It's going to protect his cutoff. Of course, it doesn't really matter that he can protect his cutoff if he doesn't have the fuel point that the cutoff is attached to. Right now, the Germans have managed to retake the right side of the map thanks to the Kübelwagen harassment of Ice Cold, so that was good out of him. But right now, he should focus on trying to get this machine gun, just flush it out of the house and try to regain control of the left side fuel point. Right now, the income is, of course, pretty much even, and right now the the victory point game is in favor of the Germans, so pretty good situation for the German players. Of course, this can all turn pretty awry in just any kind of turnaround that the Soviet players might be able to orchestrate. For now, nothing too weird. Now, another feature of the defensive tactics are the 120mm mortar and the Dushka HMG. Now, the Dushka is, of course, a very powerful machine gun. Pretty good suppression. I mean, it's pretty much the most expensive machine gun, so you'd expect it to be the best machine gun. I think the best machine gun is still the MG42 that the Germans get, but the Dushka gets pretty close to the MG42 in terms of effectiveness. And in general, it's going to be a very, very dangerous unit for the Germans to deal with, especially if Torkel can use it correctly. Now, the other very dangerous unit is the 120mm mortar, the pretty much wiper of squads and destroyer of buildings. Very, very dangerous unit. Now, a T-70 is on the field, and right now, actually Last Mile, I think, made a mistake. He should have left his flak half-track shooting at the T-70. He would have been able to easily destroy it. But thankfully, using the 45mm AT gun graciously lent to them by the Soviets, he was able to actually destroy it. So good job by Escolt. That was actually a out-of-range shot from the 45mm AT gun, so I'm not really sure. Now, one big mistake that Turkel is doing is that he's not teching up, and I'm not really sure why. I think if I was in this situation, I would definitely go for a tier 4 and get out of Katyusha, because right now the Germans do need that artillery to take out this sort of gathering of OKW units that always happens on this side of the map, because the Katyusha is going to pretty much help them out in that regard more than any other unit that they can get out right now. Now, Peacemaker has gone for a tier 3 and a T-70. Of course, the T-70 just got destroyed, but that was the correct decision considering his situation in terms of resources. Now, he should definitely tell his ally Torpol to go for a tier 4, because right now that would be pretty much paramount to the success of the allies in the later game. Now, the usage of the flares from the Spec Ops Regiment by Last Mile, of course, allows him to see allows him to see this entire area, so just pretty much the best ability that they have right now to recon any kind of area and make sure that they are not going into any trouble. And this, of course, is going to couple itself very well with the Stuka that Last Mile just went for. So that was exactly what I advised them to do, and as you can see, it's going to be able to easily wipe out this AT gun, also destroy the house, and wipe out the Dushka. So that was an excellent first strike, taking out 2 support weapons, one of which can actually be recrewed by the Germans, and one other one was destroyed. So that is very good play by Last Mile, completely wiping out whatever remnant of Torkel's just fighting ability was left, because right now he's only left with a sniper and 2 penals, which, while pretty good against infantry, has absolutely no hope of resisting the flak half-track. Now, remember, the AT gun and as well the Dushka are fairly decent against light vehicles, the Dushka being not as good as the 50 cal, even though it is effectively a 50 cal machine gun. It's the same caliber as the American 50 cal, but because it's Soviet, it costs more and does less. Sometimes the balancing in this game is kind of weird. I think the Dushka sometimes underperforms against light vehicles, but of course it's much better against infantry, so there's no cause to complain in general. Now, good usage of demo charges by Torkoal is going to allow him to wipe out perhaps one of the squads. Now, Last Mile should have seen this, and should right now be using his infiltration grenade assault to get the demo charge to detonate, or perhaps bring in the Stern Pioneers and attack round with the Panzerschreck, or perhaps bring in the Flak Half-Trek and attack the Panzerschrecks. Looks like he's going to actually bring in the Kubelwagen, because he's not as afraid of losing it. And I just heard something else explode. Yeah, the Kubelwagen is going to die if Torkoal decides to detonate the demo charge. Okay, so he brought in the Kubelwagen to see if it was safe, because he thought that Torkoal was going to detonate it. But then he brings in... It was actually detonated by the Flamethrower. I'm pretty sure it was detonated by the Flamethrower. Torkoal was just forgetting about it. I'm 100% certain that that was the Flamethrower detonating it. Okay, interesting. So, see, what Last Mile just did there was he brought in the Kubelwagen to see if it was safe, because he thought that Torkoal would detonate it if there was a demo charge. And so he kind of wanted to use his less valuable unit for, you know, the detonation. And then he saw that he didn't detonate it, so he thought it was safe. He sent in the Volksgrenadiers, but then, yeah, that was just really weird. He would have been wiped even without the demo charge because of the M3 Scout car that was there. Now, good usage of the Panzerfaust from his second Volksgrenadier squad that actually got wiped. Whoa, Stuka! Sorry for missing that. Looks like he wiped a squad. No? No, he didn't wipe anything. Only a few engineers. Almost wiping an engineer squad, but letting it live. Wait, no. He did wipe the engineer squad, but that was also thanks to, looks like, supporting fire from the other light vehicles. Now, he's also going for a Puma. Now, the Puma is interesting because he knows that one of the Soviet players has a tier 3. So he should know that the other person is probably going for either heavy tank or a tier 4. Now, on the left side, it doesn't look like there is a... What? What's that? Oh, a Su-76. Yeah, the Puma isn't going to be decent against the Su-76, but the Su-76 is on the other side of the map, and there's really no unit that the Su-76 right now is having to fight. Now, of course, the Su-76 is a good purchase by Peacemaker because he needs emergency AT in case the Germans bring out something. In fact, I would go for a second Su-76, considering, of course, also the resources that he's got. But at the same time, the Su-76 isn't a threat to the Germans, it's just a reactionary unit. Looks like Peacemaker actually captured a Kubelwagen on the left side, which is interesting. Now, what could the Allies do right now to just sort of avert this situation? Oh, that is gonna go down. Rip. Good usage of the satchel charge, a little bit late on the repositioning by Last Mile. Good usage of the smoke, though, to avoid getting shot at by the Su-76. Now, what could the Allies be doing to avoid this? Definitely Doctrine Selection is part of it. I mean, Peacemaker went for Shock Motor Heavy Tactics, and he went for a Shock Troop squad. Now, the Shock Troops are, of course, a very, very powerful anti-infantry unit for the Soviet player, but at the same time, they're a very expensive unit, and on this map, they don't necessarily shine because of their generic early game sort of short-range focus. Whereas later on, the Germans, with their possibly Obersoldaten soon enough, will be pretty much able to just snipe them out before they can get into close range where they shine. Especially on a map like this, where there's a lot of long-range fighting. So, not necessarily the best pick. And then, in general, Shock Motor Heavy Tactics has only got the Il-2 Precision Bombing Strike and the Isu-152 Assault Gun going for it. Now, the Precision Bombing Strike normally is very good, but right now the Soviets haven't been able to use pretty much any kind of their munitions. So, because of the fact that they didn't really have the munition superiority for most of the game. Right now they do have it, but for most of the game it was both players controlled by the both points controlled by the Axis. So right now it's not exactly the best moment to be relying on a munitions ability. And the Isu-152, yes, while it is a good vehicle, especially on this map, it's a bit hard to use. So we will see what kind of use you can make out of it, but I don't think that it will come into play fast enough to make a difference. Now, right now on the left side, Ice Colt went for a Panther with his Schwerpanzer quarters. I kind of agree. Right now, he's almost got the resources for LUFH artillery piece. I would definitely go for an artillery piece right now, position it about over here, because of the fact that these Soviet players are trying to just headbutt onto the defenses of the Germans. Unfortunately, he lost a squad, looks like on the right side. And their just over-reliance on support weapons for the Allies makes them a little bit of an easier target for artillery than they would just kind of desire to be. Now, of course, on the right side of the map, Turkle is definitely having a lot more problems than Peacemaker. Now, on the left side, the Panther is actually being very ballsy over here. If the Su-76 had a companion over here, a second Su-76, the Panther would definitely be in trouble because it's been showing its rear armor constantly, and that was not a very wise maneuver from Peacemaker. Now, not Peacemaker, from Ice Cold. Now, Peacemaker has a quad Zusu. He should be bringing it a little bit closer to the front line to use it against these OKW infantry units. Of course, the Panther is going to be a very dangerous unit for this quad, but the Su-76 is here to provide a little bit of anti-tank support. Now, on the right side, we do have a T-34-76 by Torko, so he's finally went for a Tier 4. He should definitely retreat this infantry squad at this point. Finally going for a Tier 4, but it's a little bit too late in my opinion, and in my opinion, he went for the wrong unit out of it. Right now, he doesn't need to be going for T-34s. T-34s, I'm a big fan of T-34s. In case you've ever seen me play, I use them all the time. But at the same time, it's pretty important to just recognize the fact that at this moment into the game, you don't need T-34-76s. Of course, Last Mile is a little bit more vulnerable to T-34-76s than his own ally, Ice Cold. But when there's Panthers on the field, Panthers are very quick. They're very maneuverable in the game, so they can pretty much zip around the map fairly easily and getting into positions that can counter your T-34s and helping out their ally, even though their ally is a little bit more vulnerable to the T-34 than you. Now, what this does mean is the fact that T-34-76s at this stage into the game kind of fall off. So what Torko should have done is he should have gone for, instead of spending 160 fuel on two T-34-76s, he should have spent that fuel on 130 fuel Su-85 and then a Katyusha, which is a little bit more fuel, to be fair. It's 210 instead of 160, but as you can see, he does have resources, so he would have been able to do that. And what that would have done is it would have provided them with a long-range tank destroyer, which is very, very good on this map. Like as I just said, the Su-152 is very good, and it would have provided them the ability to easily snipe out Pumas and also easily snipe out support weapons such as their cannon burpers and infantry blobs such as these Volksgrenadiers that are just giving him so much trouble, thanks to the Katyusha. And that would have gone very well with his little bit more support weapon heavy focus. Now, what he should have also taken into account for is the fact that the Germans do have a Stuka. So he should have been very careful with not overexposing himself. But if he would have done it correctly, he would have been able to easily at least bring himself back into the game and into a position where he's useful. Whereas right now, he's pretty much back into a corner, back into the base, and he's kind of fucked, to be, you know, completely frank. Right now, Peacemaker is kind of by himself. Now, the Su-76 that he does have is that too, but at the same time, he's having to face a Panther. And right now, Last Mile has gone for the Sure Panzer quarters, which means that he's going to be able to get a Command Panther out, and then a King Tiger if the game goes for, you know, 10-15 more minutes, which honestly I doubt. It doesn't look like he's going to go, it's going to go on any further, but, you know, I've been wrong before. Now, the VP situation is in favor of the Allies right now. What? The Allies? The Axis. Of course, it's in favor of the Axis, and yeah, it's partially because of the triple cap and Peacemaker quits, and so that's pretty much the end of the game. I mean, yeah, Torko can attempt to do something, but it's really not gonna, you know, have any impact later. So what could these players have done differently? Well, I've already talked about Torko. Doctrine selection problems, teching order problems, unit build order problems, you know, building too many scout cars, building T-34-76s when you should have built a combination of Katyushas and Su-85s. over-reliance on Penals, over-reliance on support weapons when there's a Stuka on the field. Those are all problems. Now, Peacemaker, again, Doctrine Selection, unit build order sometimes, I don't really see why he would have gone for a quad half-track. Perhaps a non-upgraded half-track, you know, to use as a reinforcement point, that would have been good. But definitely not quad half-track. Then don't really see anything else. Now, for the Germans, Ice Cold going for 2 Panthers, that is interesting, but should have definitely gone for a artillery piece quicker. I mean, artillery piece is really good, so he should have gone for it. Especially in 2v2's artillery rules, as evidenced by Stuka, that pretty much allowed Last Mile to completely annihilate Torkel, thanks to the good usage of the barrages. Last Mile, I mean, the Doctrine Selection, he didn't really use that much out of it. He definitely used the artillery flares, and that was pretty much instrumental to his success with the Stuka, so I completely agree with that. He could have gone for a couple of Obersoldaten, now that he went for never mind. He could have gone for a Command Panther right now, but again, that was a little bit thwarted by the fact that he went for a Tier 4. So yeah, Doctrine Selection could have been better, could have been worse. Not exactly anything that would have lost them the game by any means. The build order was kind of weird with the Pumas. I mean, the Puma was a little bit late, to be honest. Did he build the second one after losing one? No, only one. So that's fine. I mean, the Puma is good against light vehicles, and it's also decent against T-34s, so I guess it worked out in the end. Other than that, I don't really see anything he could have done differently. It worked out pretty well. Of course, the other mistakes were just normal unit positioning, blah blah blah. I don't need to, you know, repeat those. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this cast. I'll hope to see you soon. And yeah, pretty much. See ya.